I wasn't like pressing to be like, all right, you need to take me to the emergency room type pain. But we decided to go in and get it checked out. And they were just like, yeah, so you have a hole in your diaphragm, in your stomach, and your intestines are up on your shoulder.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Overstock Dixie. You can go like and follow their Instagram. There's new items that pop up on there every day, multiple times a day. Anything from furniture to tools, electronics, pretty much anything you're looking for. Hey guys, welcome back to the Derek Legg Podcast. We are in the vault today. This is episode 75. Want to throw this out in the beginning on this one. If you guys are finding valuable content or something you want to send to someone, please like and share, comment. We've even had people write comments on our videos and then we've addressed them, in the next episode or a later episode. So make sure you interact with us. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy doing a podcast. Nothing special about me. I'd like to talk to people. So jump in there and let's interact. Anyway, episode 75. I've got a really good friend on. I've known him almost my whole life. We were kind of in sports growing up. It was always me. Well, I don't have a problem name dropping. So it was always me and Victor Crane. And then this is Blake Nisson that we have on today. And it was always Blake Nisson and Jace Melissa. And I feel like we always kind of went back and forth in everything, no matter what sport it was. So this is Blake Nisson. How's it going, man?
What's up? What's up, guys? It's going good.
Good, dude. I kind of, not blackmailed's not the right name, but I've been trying to get Blake on for a minute just because we have good conversations when we get together and both of us talk a lot. So it's a good podcast starting point. He does taxes. He does all my personal and business taxes. And I think it was like March or April, I had asked him, hey man, I know you're busy, but would you ever come on the podcast? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'll do it. I just don't have time right now. And I'm pretty sure he even jokingly was like, I'll do it before the end of the year. And we're in December now. So a couple weeks ago, I texted him and said, dude, we're getting booked up for the end of the year. We got to get you scheduled.
Yeah.
And here he is.
It's definitely true. I thought I had gotten out of it, but fortunately you called me on my promise to come on. So I'm living up to it.
And we're halfway through December, so this is you were cutting
crazy.
it close,
man.
Cutting
it really close.
And you're leaving. Leaving later this week, so.
Yep, heading to Mexico here pretty soon.
So yeah, we'll start touching on some Mexico stuff here pretty soon. But dude, I think you've got good stories to tell. I think you've got some experiences that a lot of people haven't been through. And that's kind of the point of this whole podcast, is to make people feel like they're not alone when they're struggling or going through things. Or even, having success and going through things, because there's also ways to handle success that, if you've never done it, it's an unknown as well. So, yeah, dude, maybe I'll even let you backstory just a touch. I'd try not to bore everyone with had 4 brothers and 2 sisters and an So yeah. I'll kind of just let you give a little background about yourself. Obviously, everyone looks at me and thinks I'm an OG Dogtowner, but I mean, you guys have a park named after your family, so I don't have that, dude. So anyway, dude, I'll let you take it over. Go ahead.
All right, yeah. So Blake Nisson, like Derek said, I'm from Dogtown. My dad's family settled Washington City, and we've been there for a long time. But yeah, I mean, Derek met in elementary, and it's so true, man. We the good old playground days, man. It was you and Victor Crane, me and Jace Melissa, 2-on-2.
It was like Victor Crane is my first friend, dude, when I moved to Washington.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how long ago that was, but yeah, it's good times. So what do you want me to talk about, man?
I mean, that's good if you don't have anything else to say. Yeah. So I've kind of wrote down a few topics, and we kind of talked about it before. I know some of these will be, if personal is the right word.
Yeah.
Some of this will be a little personal, so share whatever you feel comfortable sharing. But I mean, dude, you've been through some things that the average, not even the average person, but the above average person hasn't been through. So
That's fair.
so yeah, it's all kind of backstory a little bit too. So yeah, basketball was the one. Basketball was the one that we all competed in the most. You and Jace were unstoppable. We had Victor's height, and that was about it. I mean, I was okay, but I wasn't on yours and Jace's level. And so when we played basketball, and I know Victor will listen to this one, so he'll get a kick out of this too, dude. I remember we'd pretty much all just, on my team, we'd shoot the ball and Victor would end up getting rebounds and just throwing it back up, right? So he'd end up with like 20 rebounds and 25 points.
Yeah.
and so he was the anchor in the middle for all those years. And I mean, he was my first friend when I moved to Washington, and we built that house in Washington. So I was 7 years old when we moved into that house. But yeah, we were closer when we were younger, and then as middle school and even high school came, we just kind of had our different friend groups, and like we still knew each other, but didn't really hang out a ton. And then I'll let you take over right here. So one of those events that happened to Blake happened in high school. And I'll let you tell the story, because to be honest, I don't know it bit for bit. So I'll let you take over.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of, man, it's been so long ago that it's almost, a lot of it's a blur at this point, but I mean, there's definitely some stuff I remember, but yeah, so if I mess up on any of the dates or times, it's just because it's been so long ago. So
we don't have fact checkers.
It's good. Facebook's not following us. YouTube, they got somebody out there fact checking this. So yeah, like you said, you know, we hung out and stuff when we were younger. And I don't know, man, middle school, all that kind of happened. We were still friends. We never disliked each other or anything.
Right.
We just kind of had different friend groups a little bit or whatever. But yeah, when so I mean, I think the event you're talking about is the car accident that I was in.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was 16 years old, I'd just gotten my driver's license. Like, my birthday's in October, so I was one of the first ones, you know, to get your driver's license, 10th grade. Felt like a baller, just out there. And my parents had bought me this old Toyota truck, kind of like the one off to Back to the Future, but it was nothing looking that nice. But anyway, they bought me this old Toyota truck, and we had, you know, cruise it out with friends, go do stuff, go out in the hills, whatever. And I remember... So anyway, to back up a little bit, so I had put in for a elk hunt, a cow elk hunt with my cousins, and I had drawn out. Me and my youngest brother, Gump, we drew out, and so we were gonna go. And I'm trying to remember the exact day. I think it was November 4th was the day, 2004, and you know, a couple buddies. Think I know Dave Nilsson was there. I think Vic may have even been there. I'm pretty sure. Jace Melissa. We were like, let's go up to Veo or Enterprise or something. Just go out cruising around at night, mobbing, you know. And the next day, I was supposed to get up and drive up past Enterprise to go hunting. And when you're a young kid, you know, you're just like, oh, I can stay up till all hours of the night. Nothing's gonna faze me. I'm fine. And so I remember we were out pretty late, just cruising around with a group of people. There's a few other people had their licenses and cars and whatever. And so we go out there, and we're out there. We have a good time, whatever. We come back home. I got home at probably like 1, 2 a.m. And we had to wake up at like 4 or 5 the next morning to go out hunting. So I wake up, and, you know, me and my younger brother, we follow our cousins up there. And I remember I was pretty tired, like, driving up. I was my eyes were pretty heavy, but again, I'm just like, whatever. It's like, there's no way I'm gonna fall asleep in this car. Like, I had never been able to be one of those people that just like sleeps anywhere. Like, I'm a pretty light sleeper. Like, I couldn't just like fall asleep in a couch sitting up or a recliner or something. Like, I had to be laying down, you know. And so I'm just like, oh, this is fine, whatever. So we go out, we go hunting, we don't see anything. and it's about, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock maybe. And we decide to just, bag it for the day, come back home. So we start driving back home, and me and my younger brother Gump, we like to go up and eat at Marv's in Enterprise. Shout out to Jason Melissa. He took us up there all the time. He's got family from there, and so he introduced it to us, and we love to go there. They have great burgers and fries and stuff. So we were just like, dude, we got to hit Marv's, before we come home. And so we stopped there. My cousins were like, all right, we're just gonna go. Like, we don't want to stop and eat. We're just gonna get back home. So we're just like, all right, cool. And so we eat, and man, I probably threw down like this huge double burger and fries and everything. And I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever I eat like a big meal, that also makes me tired, and I'm just like really ready to take a nap. So I ate a big meal, and like I said, I was already tired that day. And I, could kind of feel myself dozing at times, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And so we eat, and then we start driving home. And I remember my younger brother, Gump, Braden, we call him Gump, but anyway, he was tired too. And I remember just being like, dude, joking with him, I'm like, man, I'm going to have you drive the car. Like, I don't know if I can make it. I'm pretty tired. And he's just like, oh, yeah, haha, And I'm just like, nah, I'm good, man. Like, let's just get home. It's not that far. It's an hour away. So we start driving, and, like, honestly, I don't really remember the accident at all. It's just kind of what's been told to me. But so I remember he fell asleep in the seat, like, next to me. Like, he had just dozed off and was kind of out. And so I kept driving. And I don't remember getting that far from Enterprise. Like, I think they say the wreck happened down around Dameron Valley or somewhere in those parts. I can't remember the exact place, but it was a lot farther down than I remembered getting to. And so, yeah, like long story short, I passed out, I fell asleep, and like I said, my younger brother was asleep. And so, for those of you from St. George, you're probably familiar with that road, that highway. It's a highway. It's about 65 miles an hour. And so I was going down there. It's just a 2-lane highway. And I fell asleep behind the wheel, and I veered over into oncoming traffic and had a head-on collision with another car. And I was going about 65, they said, and the other car was going about 80. And so as I was drifting over, I think, I didn't quite hit head on, but the majority, of it, probably half or more on my side, the driver's side hit into theirs. And so we hit that car and went rolling. And I think they said like my truck rolled 14 or 17 times or something like that. And so it just went rolling. There was, a bunch of people that saw it and stopped and called the police or whatever, the ambulance. And my younger brother Gump, he remembers the crash. He said for some reason he woke up like right before we were about to hit. And so he was kind of up. The impact basically knocked me out. I don't remember any of it. And so he just remembers us upside down. So the truck ended up upside down, and we're both hanging there from our seat belts. And he just remembers, looking over and seeing me dangling there and just like thinking I'm dead. Like he was like trying to say my name. I wasn't responsive. He remembers somebody coming up to the truck and like, saying we're calling for help or whatever. And so the next thing I know, excuse me, the next thing I know, I'm waking up in the hospital. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm still kind of out of it. I don't really know what's going on. And they, told me I'm in an accident, and I'm just like, oh crap. Like I fell asleep. Like, at that point it like hit me. I'm like, oh geez, man, I fell asleep, And so, I ended up in the hospital, and that was kind of the beginning of the issues that I've had. But I don't know how long you want me to talk about this particular story. There's a lot more to it, but
I think that's a good kind of
if you have any questions at all at
this could
this
be a
point.
3-hour story on just that, I assume. So what I would do is kind of go over, from that point of being in the hospital and maybe even just like a diagnosis of what happened. Obviously I'm aware, but just kind of tell everyone. And then even, dude, you can kind of skip through if there's any stories or anything that hit you on your recovery. So I'll let you jump in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm in the hospital, and I didn't really have much feeling in my lower half of my body. I couldn't move my legs and stuff. So I knew something was wrong, and they told me that, you'd broken your back. We're going to have to life flight you up north to Primary Children's Hospital. And so I remember they life flighted me up there. And so I'm staying there, and we're in the hospital. And actually, I'm going to go back because this is kind of one of the things I remember that's still crazy. And I just feel like, I was really blessed because it really is quite a miracle that we even survived. But my dad told me that in the hospital here in St. George, the doctors came in, and me and my brother were both there. And they, had seen us and stuff. And they told them, like, they were in a car accident or whatever. And neither one of us had any brain injuries at all, any brain trauma. My younger brother ended up with a few holes in his stomach that had to get sewn up, but other than that, he was luckily in pretty good shape, didn't have any nerve damage or anything like that. But anyway, the doctor came up to my dad and was just like, man, thank goodness for the invention of airbags. My dad's just like, no, the truck didn't have any airbags. It was like an 86 truck. And he's just like, that's impossible. Like, there's just no way. Like, they rolled, like 17 times. And he's just like, they look like they had airbags. And so anyway, that was just kind of crazy. Like, that was kind of the beginning of just like seeing some miracles at play. Anyway, so fast forward. So I get life flighted up there. My brother gets kept down here. In St. George. And so I go up there and I spend about a month, I think it was, in the hospital. And again, I didn't really have function of my legs. I couldn't go to the bathroom, couldn't do any of that. And they, so first they were just like, okay, you've broken your back. You got some nerve damage, but we think like there's a chance we could fix it. And then they get in there. I think they realized it was probably worse than they thought. So what happened is I shattered my L2 through L4 in my back and had some severe nerve damage. And so I think, again, I could be off on all this because it's been so long ago. But I want to say, like, I had to go into surgery like 4 times. And, like, the first 3 times they just couldn't do it because I was losing too much blood or I wasn't stable. I don't remember exactly, but I know it was like 4 times. And so they finally did it. And then the third, I can't remember if they actually did something or not on the third surgery. I think they may have tried to do something. But anyway, they decided, we're going to bring in like another doctor to check this out. And he's just like, no, like we need to do one more surgery. And so they did a 4th surgery. And they didn't have too high hopes of me regaining my nerves and being able to walk again. And my mom had kind of told me this after, but she's just like, yeah, they came in and basically let us know like he's probably never going to walk again. We give him maybe a 10% chance or something.
And are you thinking that you're going to go through surgery and be fine? Yeah.
So at the time, that's kind of what I thought, right? Like they seemed pretty optimistic when they'd come in and talk about it, and the doctor was just like, yeah, like, he'll be up and playing basketball and stuff again, like, again, I think they probably didn't realize how bad it was until they got in there. But at that time I had kind of thought like, I'll be okay. This sucks. Like I'm going to go through some surgeries, but I might be able to get back. Like it's not that much damage. But and then kind of as it went on, they kind of realized and they kind of were just like, all right, like, no, this probably isn't going to work out. Like your nerves are pretty severed and damaged, And so basically how it was explained to me is like, it's possible for your nerves to come back, but they grow really slowly. And so they grow just like fractions of inches over every month or whatever. And so I have to, like my mom, she was really strong and kept me having a good attitude. She wouldn't let me have a pity party about it. She was like, listen, we're going to do this. Like, it doesn't matter what they say. Like, you're going to bank on the 10%, right? Like we're going to be one of those 10%. And so it was pretty cool. She kind of really helped me with that and was strong. But, so anyway, I'm there for a month and I'm not regaining any, nerve function at all. I was able to move my feet, so I could move my feet, but I had no, movement of my hamstrings or quads or calves or any of that. Really, I couldn't. I definitely couldn't put any weight or walk or anything, really move. And so, I was there, and they had noticed that one of my lungs had filled up with some fluid. And so they had decided, to fix that and let that out. And I don't know. I don't remember why they thought it happened, but they just thought it was something from the accident, I guess. And so anyway, I'll get into the more of what happened with that later. But that was one of the things. So that like my lung filled up with fluid, and so they kind of had to fix that. And that's why I was there for a little while longer. And anyway, I end up, in a wheelchair and had to kind of just resign myself to being my new life, in a wheelchair. And so I was able to come home, and it was right before Christmas, luckily. So I was able to come home and have Christmas with my family and stuff. And so that was kind of where I was at, being in a wheelchair. And then about, I want to say, sorry, I'm trying to remember the details here. I'm trying to think which one happened first. So total, I was life flighted like 3 times within a year. So let's see. Yeah, so I think it was maybe like 6 months. Again, I could be off on the time on that, but so I'm going through life, just kind of, I'm in a wheelchair. I had really bad pain, nerve pain. So I had shattered my L2 through L4, but it caused what was called like referred pain. So those nerves in your L2 through L4, they controlled my legs. And so like most of the pain was in my legs. It was nerve pain to my legs. And so, I had a lot of pain from that. I was on a lot of pain medication, and I think 4 to 6 months maybe after that, like my nerves kind of woke up, like, which was a good sign, but also
Painful.
sucked because it was like the most pain I've ever had in my life. Like, so they started to kind of wake up, and the pain was just like, screaming at the top of my lungs, pain, like just nonstop pain. And so, of course, my parents take me into the hospital down here. And this was back in 2004. For those of you watching that are from St. George, you know how much it's grown since then. Like, the new hospital was there, but it had just like been there. Like St. George was still a pretty small place. They didn't have a lot of high level doctors and surgeons and stuff, people that could deal with back nerve injuries and stuff. So anyway, my parents take me in to the hospital, and it's, the pain's undescribable, honestly. It's just some of the worst pain, like the worst pain I've ever had in my life. And they were basically just like, we can't help you. Yeah. There's nothing we can do here. And so they're like, we're going to have to life flight you up there and up to Salt Lake again. This time they sent me to the University of Utah hospital, which is, it's kind of weird. Like they share with Primary Children's. It's like they're right in the same kind of area or whatever, same hospital, maybe even, I can't remember. There's a connection there, but because the doctor that had done my surgery was from the University of Utah. He'd come over to Primary Children's and done it. He was a specialist. And so anyway, they kind of, since he had done my surgery and knew my situation, they sent me there. And so I just remember being like, this is one of the crazy parts about it. So I get up there, and like I said, I'm just in a ton of pain. And I guess I should have gone back to when I was initially in the hospital in Primary Children's, just to kind of backstory this. So I have like a really high tolerance for pain medication. Like, it takes a ton to do anything to me. And so I remember when I was there for the first month, like, I was in a lot of pain, and my mom kept like trying to tell him, like, he's in a lot of pain, like he needs pain medication. And so the doctors were like giving me some pretty hardcore drugs. Just for like a reference, like, morphine's a pretty common drug for pain medication. Did nothing for me, like didn't even touch the pain. And I happened to be allergic to it too, which is kind of weird. But anyway, so they had to up my dosage just like crazy. And I remember one of the nurses there, and I mean, I don't really blame her. She probably really did feel this way, but the doctor had prescribed medicine to give me, and she just refused to give it. She's like, I'm not going to give it to him. This could kill him. Like, I don't want to do it. Yeah, it was just too strong. Like, she didn't feel like it was going to be all right. And so I remember like my mom had to like really complain and go talk to people, and they got the doctor, had to come in the middle of the night and like come give me the pain medication. But anyway, so like I say that just to backstory of like, I have a really high tolerance, so it takes a lot to do anything. So anyway, fast forward to when I got life flighted again, and this was purely just for the pain. Like, it was literally, they couldn't do anything about it down here. So they send me up there, and I just remember like getting there, and they're just like, okay, like, listen, we got to give you an epidural. Like, we don't know what else to do, like, to help with this pain, because nothing was helping. And so I just remember like they didn't numb me or anything. Oh. They just like rolled me over my back, like strapped me down, and start pushing a needle down into my back, man. And my nerves are just like inflamed and pissed and, really bad there. And that moment was literally the worst pain I've ever had in my life. I mean, it was bad the whole time before, like I said, screaming in pain, but that was like, and I don't even know how I didn't black out. Like, It was so bad. And so anyway, but it helped. Like, they got that in there. I don't even remember the name of the medication, but whatever it was just like, oh my gosh. Okay, finally.
Are your parents there?
Yeah, so it was just my mom.
So she flew with you?
Yeah, so my mom flew with me on the life flight. Bless her heart. She she went through quite a bit that year. Yeah. So I go up there. They finally do that, and like the pain kind of starts to ease. I want to say I was there maybe like 2 weeks, and they kind of felt like they'd got it under control. Like, the waking up of the nerves had kind of settled in. So they sent me back home. And then I think it was literally like a month or two later, I start having really bad like pain, but not in my legs like usual or my back, but like on my chest and my stomach. And I'm just like, this is weird. Like, I don't know what's causing all this pain. And I know this is probably like a little gross to get into for most people, but like, I hadn't taken a good dump in like like 3 weeks, dude. It was like, I just remember like being like, man, this is weird. Like, I haven't gone to the bathroom for a while. I don't know what's going on. And so, I mean, it was kind of normal, because one of the side effects of pain medication is that it kind of makes you dehydrated and get constipated. And so, I'd kind of dealt with that, where it was like normal to not go every day. Yeah. Right. And I was on all sorts of crap, medicines and stuff. But yeah, like I'd probably 2 or 3 weeks, maybe. It was a long time, and maybe it wasn't that long, but it was a long, like it was 10 days at least. And I didn't really, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention to it very much, but I had like all this pain. So I'm like, maybe it's just that. Like, anyway, I don't even remember why, but because the pain was bad, but compared to that nerve pain, dude, I'm like, this is a walk in the park. Like, nothing's wrong. I'm cool. Like, this is bad, but it ain't anything. So I wasn't like pressing to be like, all right, you need to take me to the emergency room type pain. But we decided to go in and get it checked out. And they were just like, Yeah, so you have a hole in your diaphragm, in your stomach, and your intestines are up on your shoulder,
What?
and you have a collapsed lung. And I'm just like, cool. Like,
Oh my gosh.
this is fun. Something else to throw on the plate, you know.
Right?
And so it was, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like the doctor was just like, man, like a couple more days, and like it could have killed you. Like you could have been gone. Like it was getting really dangerous. Like we can't imagine what would happen if you didn't come in again. It was just one of those things, like, you know, call it a miracle or a blessing or whatever that we decided to go in. So anyway, I go in there. And I'm sorry, I know the story's getting really long, but there's a lot that like happened. This was all within a year. So we go in there, and I get surgery, but they did it laparoscopically. So they poked some holes in my stomach, like 3 or 4 holes, and went in there, and they said I had about a 10-inch tear in my diaphragm. And I guess it's just like your diaphragm is what keeps your intestines and stuff down. And so they sewed that up. This was like October, around my birthday-ish. Pretty close to when the accident, you know, it happened about a month before or whatever. A year anniversary of the month before. And so I got that all, you know, taken care of, and they were able to do that down here. They had some people that were able to do that in here. So I was like, oh, that's good. I did not want to get like flight up north again, deal with all that. And so they did that. And then it was maybe a month and a half later, I get pain again. Just like, crap, like this, I hope this isn't the same thing. But we go in, and they're like, yeah, it's torn open. It's now 14 inches wide. Like,
oh my gosh.
You're
like the same spot?
Yeah. So like the surgery did not take laparoscopically. And so they were just like, you know what? We better life flight you again. So they life flighted me again up to the University of Utah. And this time there's like, I guess we're not screwing around anymore. We're just going to cut you open. So they just cut me open and, you know, did a stitching of it or whatever, and fixed up. So I think I was another 2 weeks in the hospital up there. And luckily I think that had gotten fixed, hopefully, as far as I know. We'll see if it holds up. But yeah, so like I said, I've been in about, you know, a little less than a year, 11 months. I was life flighted 3 times. I'd spent, you know, it was almost 4 months, I think, in the hospital of a year of my 16-year-old year. So,
Jeez.
So anyway, you have any questions about
No, yeah, you're good.
Just keep rambling on.
I just remember, like, I remember hearing about it for sure. And like, I think Victor told me, maybe it was Vic Crane that told me. I don't remember. Someone told me, and I was like, holy crap. And I think I tried to go over to your house once. And I talked to your dad for a second, and he was just like, yeah, maybe it was your brother. Anyway, it's been too long.
I
right?
know, dude,
like, I'm doing the same thing too.
So we're like 34. This was 16 years old, like
right.
half my life ago. But yeah.
And anyway, so I remember knowing about it, thinking about it, and then life kind of went on. And you're struggling with it for over a year at this point, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember, and I don't know if it was junior or senior year, but I remember you coming back to school in a wheelchair. And that was like the first time I'd seen you do it. And I remember because it was Pineview High in between the school and the seminary building. And I remember seeing you coming out in your wheelchair. And I think I went up and was just like, what's up, man? You know, and we just like fist bumped, and that was kind of it. But like that was like, holy crap. Like I had heard all this had happened, but that was like the first time I'd seen it, and it was like real to me. Right. And I think real to a lot of people that knew. And yeah, dude, I mean, we can keep running through it if you want. Maybe even just pull out, because I know there's miracles in it for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 more things that you want to share about it, of, you know, even past that point of recovery, right? Because I got a lot more I want to get to. So
yeah,
I'd say this could end up being a 4-hour podcast if we.
Yeah, it's a long story for sure. So we could easily do the whole podcast on just this. But, but yeah, so, you know, like you said, I was basically in a wheelchair, and before I, you know, had to do those other life flights, I had come back, you know, to school early on. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but it was pretty early on that I was able to go back to school and be in a wheelchair. And I remember Riley Palmer's dad was our principal,
Yep.
Rick Palmer. And so for the first few months after they were like, all right, like you just got to go to Mill Creek or whatever and do packets, I would do these packets and stuff. And I'm just like, man, I want to get back to school, you know? Like I miss my
If I'm
friends.
going to do the work, I want to go back.
Yeah, I'm just like, this sucks. Like I'm just stuck home all day. And so I remember they were just like, I don't remember who it was we talked to, my mom or whatever, and they're just like, no, like, you know, so at the time I wasn't able to go a full day of school, like that
Sure.
wasn't going to happen. And so they were just like, yeah, like we can't, you know, just let you come for a little bit and not go like you kind of did the other. And I Rick Palmer was just like, no, that's stupid, man. You're coming half a day. Like it's cool. We're going to make this work. And it was really, he probably doesn't know this, but that was really big for me, like being able to go back to school. And I started going like half a day, and then the other half I would do these credits at Mill Creek or whatever, these packets. But soon enough, I was able to kind of go longer. But then I had these other two life flights that kind of threw a wrench and everything. So I was kind of in and out from school. But yeah, so that was pretty cool that I was able to come back, and that helped me a lot. And I mean, it was kind of weird too, like seeing all you guys and friends, you know, it's like, I don't know, things just felt so weird and different. And I don't know, man, it was hard to cope with. I don't think I coped with it very well. And I think it was hard for, you know, people that were my friends too, like to see me like that. And at that young of an age, like you don't know what to do, you know, it's like, you don't want to just be like, oh yeah, sorry, you know, like
thinking about you.
Yeah, it's like they didn't know what to say, and I mean, I don't blame them. I wouldn't have known what to say or do. But I do remember a lot of people, you know, they came to visit and stuff, and I really appreciated it. But at the same time, it was just kind of, I don't know, it was one of those things. It was hard for me to cope with as a kid that age. But anyway, I'll just kind of touch on a couple other things too, like you said. So I didn't mention this in the accident. But one of the big miracles was that, I guess for me, I should say it's kind of a miracle. So the person that I had hit into was an older lady that was driving the other car. And I want to say she was in her 70s, maybe high 60s. She was older. She was traveling back home, I think, to Dameron Valley or whatever. And so she had passed away in the accident. Me and my brother were okay. But unfortunately she passed away. And I remember like, it was a while before they let me know. Like my parents and people had kind of told me that that's what happened. But I just remember like just feeling so horrible. I was just like, man, like I killed a lady because of my, you know, stupid, you know, pride of thinking that I, you know, wouldn't fall asleep, and that really weighed on me heavily. And I remember being, when I was up there in primary children's, so her, and I wish I could remember their names and who they were, but it was like her daughter, or I'm pretty sure it was her daughter, lived up there in Salt Lake, and she came in to visit me at the hospital, and I'm sure, you know, her husband was pretty upset about it, and it was pretty rough for him. But she came in and just wanted to see how I was doing. And I remember like just being floored, like I'd just taken this lady's mom in an accident, and she's here checking on me. And she came in and she just wanted to let us know. She's just like, you know, we forgive you. Like, we know that you didn't mean for this to happen. It was an accident, and we just want to let you know we're praying for you to get better and to make it through this. And man, that was one of the life-changing moments for me. Like, just to see someone so Christ-like, you know, and they had every reason in the world to be pissed at me, and, you know, to try and sue me or do whatever, just to come in and be like, you know what, we forgive you and we just want you to be better. And so for me, like I said, that was a miracle that I saw. And then, you know, obviously people probably can't tell I'm not in a wheelchair right now, but
anyone on audio, yeah.
But yeah, so that was the other miracle was, you know, I it was a good thing my nerves woke up. They came back, and it was rough, but it was a good sign. And so I was able to do a bunch of physical therapy and stuff and gain more movement. And, I think it was about 2 years probably I was in a wheelchair, and I could kind of use a walker. And then eventually I was just able to walk. Like, they came back. I still don't have a lot of strength in my legs. I still, have some pain, some nerve pain in my legs, still on pain medication and stuff. But I mean, it's definitely, I'm a walking miracle for sure, man.
Yeah.
It's been pretty cool.
Well, dude, and not even walking, like, I mean, we've played sports together. We've played softball, football, basketball. We've done it all together since then, right? And every time, like, I forget that was even part of your life. You know what I mean? But I don't know, dude. Thanks for sharing all that. Like I said, I know some of that was personal to you, and but it's one of those things, dude. Like, car accidents happen all the time, and if there's someone that can pull something out of this, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, and so how long was it? So it was 2 years from car accident to walking?
Yeah, it's about 2 years in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I was able to walk. I couldn't run for probably another year or something. I was kind of building that up, and I still can't run good now. That's mostly because I'm probably fat.
I don't run very good either. We both learned that, dude. So we've played softball the last couple years, and it's been a minute since I've played. I don't know if you've gone back and played with Hafe and those guys.
They had to cut me, dude.
Dude, that was me,
I
bro.
Play. Shout out Jason Hafen. Thanks for the cut, dude.
Still got the shirt. I'm keeping it.
They won City League championship once they got rid of us, dude. Cut us dead weight off the team and recruited some pros.
So, dude, first time in my life, like, growing up playing baseball always came natural to me. Like, I was on all the all-star teams. I mean, I did everything in baseball. My dad was heavy in baseball. And so we're going now at 33 years old playing with some City League softball teams, and softball's even easier for me. And so, like, singles ward and all that kind of stuff, like, I had zero problem playing softball. Put me anywhere,
Yeah.
And then we go play just this last year, and I don't remember exactly what the score and whatnot was, but we need a couple scores. And I get up, I hit just like a single, I get on first base, right? And I'm kind of getting in my stance. Next guy's coming up, and Hafe looks at me and he says, we need a runner on first. Dude, first time in my life anyone's ever asked for a runner for me. That was a little bit of a ego hit, bro. I'm like, I know I put on some weight, dude, but I feel like I can still get the second.
Oh, man. Yeah. See, I suck at baseball. I never played anything. But I'm like, softball can't be that bad. And I mean, I go play. I'm like, dang, dude, you guys are way better than me at this thing. It was fun. It was a good time.
No, dude, sure. I a lot of the stuff that I do nowadays is like, it's just going and hanging out, and that's what softball was for me. Like, with my schedule being as crazy as it is, that's kind of what I told Hafe. Like, well, I had hurt what did I hurt? My rib, my shoulder. I don't remember what it was now. I don't know. Dude, I'm always hurt.
Yeah, it
was my rib.
Injury.
I jacked my rib up moving a safe. And so I couldn't even like swing the bat or anything. But I was like, dude, if you need me, I'll be there. But I just can't really move.
Yeah.
And so the next one I sat out, and then I haven't played since. But for me, dude, it was just kind of like a hanging out with the guys, and
me too.
And it's like fantasy football now. It's the only reason I do it is to like talk with my like high school kids that we all ran together, and a lot of the things. I mean, I try to do like get-togethers at the house, and just kind of have everyone come hang out.
For sure.
That's like a pressure release valve for me. Just hanging out with the boys,
Yeah, totally, man. That's the only reason I went. I'm just like, if you're going to forfeit, I'll show up. But other than that, like, you don't want me there.
I mean, like, I've never played catcher in my life until softball. And then I was fine with it. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want rockets hitting at me the whole time.
Been relegated to catcher out there and having someone run for you, man.
I figured that was kind of the steps, and then you get cut the next year, It's like, I should have I was being Tom Brady, dude. I should have known it was time to hang it up.
Oh, boy.
So yeah, dude, I figured that was a good subject to kind of kick it off, dude, because I mean, probably the craziest thing that's ever happened to you, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. It's the craziest thing. And honestly, it is kind of crazy. It's like I forget a lot. It's just been so long, and it's almost like a blur. Everything just kind of goes together. And sometimes I'm just like, it almost doesn't feel real that it happened, Like sometimes I forget, like, man, I was really in a wheelchair for 2 years. Like, I didn't think I'd be able to walk. And now, look at me. And I mean, I skipped over some other stuff about, like, I couldn't go to the bathroom for the first, few months. Like, I had to use a catheter for 6 months and do it to myself. And it was just like that type of stuff, man, coming back. It was crazy to go through that. And yeah, anyway, it was a life experience.
Another part of that I talk about on here often is like, dude, when you're in it, it's just, you can't see anything. Like that was
just what's directly in front of you. Like, that's it. Everything else is kind of like,
this is proof. Like, something as crazy as that, we're 16 years down the road, 17 years down the road. And like, not to take anything away from the importance of what happened, but it's like just these little things start falling off your memory.
Yeah.
And I always have conversations with people that are in a rough time. And I'm like, dude, I know this is going to sound crazy to you, but in 10 years, like, you may not even remember this,
Yeah. That's definitely true.
And like, I had a younger kid working for me. He doesn't anymore. He's not anymore, but he was working for me, and he like went through a breakup while he was working for me. And I just told him, like, dude, I couldn't tell you the reason I broke up with like my first 3 girlfriends. And so I was like, this is the most horrible thing you've ever been through in your entire life. And in 5 years, you'll start to forget like why you guys even got mad at each other. All that just goes away.
Yeah, that's what they say, the saying, whatever, time heals,
there you go.
Time heals all wounds or whatever.
Yeah, dude. So
it's true.
So kind of the next stage of us like hanging out and becoming closer was Singles Ward.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. I'd say that's kind of where we really became like, we were always friends and stuff. That's where we became like homies,
Like, there was never any negative
friends.
there.
Yeah.
But that's where, the guys that haven't graduated into marriage yet, or the guys and girls that haven't graduated into marriage, that's where you go hang out. So, dude, and I loved Singles Ward. Like, I don't want to be single again, but like that atmosphere, I'd go back to it for church for sure.
I did too, man. It was cool.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great bishop, like Mike Jensen.
Awesome.
Dan Bundy. Evan Stapley, like those guys, they made it, and they put the right people in the right spots to make it fun for everyone, I think. And anyway, so yeah, we kind of started doing a Monday night football thing. We'd all go over to Blake's house and watch Monday Night Football. And we kind of just grew a lot closer then. Dude, I skip over? No, then you went on your mission.
Yeah, it was after that. Yep.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know it obviously took some time.
Yeah, and so that was another kind of one of those things that was, excuse me, justice. That was another one of those kind of miracles. Was like, I obviously had been through a lot medically, and we both grew up in the church and stuff. And I remember I wanted to go on a mission and stuff. I really had that desire to do it, but they were just kind of like, nah. Like, it's,
dude, you've been life flighted 3 times in a year.
They're just like, you're in a wheelchair, you're on these medications, you still have pain. Like, it's just not in the cards, right? So I was just, at the time, I'd, gotten back to walking and stuff, but I still, had some issues and stuff from it, and being able to physically, like, for a while, I couldn't be up 8 hours. And so I didn't talk about this before, but like the only way that my pain kind of eased was when I was laying flat. If I was sitting up, for some reason, it caused more pain. It still causes more pain in my legs. And so because of that, it was like I still, even in the singles ward, like at that time, I wasn't really able to function all day and do, 8 hours or whatever of even just standing or sitting. Like I had to lay down every couple hours, every 3 hours. And so it just kind of took some time to build up and adjust and kind of just deal with the pain. And I still got, pain today from it, but I've learned to just kind of deal with it and block it out mentally somehow. But anyway, so that was kind of cool. We were both in the singles ward, and I agree with you. Like, it was fun. It was just like, it was almost like I was in church, man. Like we were just
Yeah.
there hanging out with some friends, you know, from Dogtown. We had good activities and really cool bishopric, and it was just it was a different aspect of church, I guess, you know, as opposed to a family ward. It just felt a lot different. And when we were, I mean, you know, when you're younger, just out of high school, it's like really fun. You're with all the kids your age and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to go back there, especially at our age, but but it was fun. But anyway, so I, you know, I'd kind of basically, I don't want to say accepted the fact, but I was kind of just like, all right, I guess it's probably not in the cards. And they were like, maybe you could do a service mission and stay here and work at the DI. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Like, I'll pass on that. And so, you know, time went by. I started going to college out of high school, kind of just dicked around in college for a few years and, you know, didn't really give it a whole lot of effort that I should have. But and the whole time, you know, I kept just kind of being like, I'd like to go on a mission, you know, and I would bounce around to different, you know, stake presidents and stuff, like the singles ward one, and they were like changing boundaries. Anyway, I eventually go to stake president, President Bangerter, and he was just like, I don't see any reason why you couldn't go. You know, like we need to have you track what you do in the day. And at that point, so I was about 21 probably, and I started to get to where I could like be up, you know, for a good chunk of the day. It still wasn't, you know, all day, but like the most. And he's just like, yeah, like I don't see why, you know, you couldn't do it. And he just felt like you need to go. And so I ended up, he's like, you need to track what you do like every day so that we can send that in and show like this is what you're able to do. And so I did that for like 3 months and tracked it and everything. And then I remember, you know, talking to Bishop Jensen about it and stuff, and he really helped me to do it and fill out the papers and do everything. And I don't know how they talked him into letting me do it with my medical history, honestly, but they did. And I knew, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go somewhere in the States, like for sure. And I'm going to send me to freaking, you know, Russia. South America or Russia or whatever. And so I'm just like, I knew I'd go somewhere there. And funny enough, me and my oldest brother and my next oldest brother, we had taken a trip out to Washington, D.C. in August, whatever that year was. No, I can't remember. When I was turning 22. Yeah,
2011, something like that.
Yeah, 2010. Yep, 2010. So August 2010.
That's the only reason I know.
Yeah. So yeah, August 2010, we'd taken a trip out there, and this was the time when they were like, yeah, we think you could go, you know, like work on getting your papers together and everything. So I put my papers together, and we go take a trip out there for a few days and come back. And then it wasn't very long after that, like a month or something after that, I get my call, and Washington, D.C., dude, is where I'm going. I was just like, man, that's crazy coincidence. But yeah, so anyway, I was able to end up going on a mission, which, you know, for me was a great experience and something that also, you know, I learned a lot and had some good life experience. But it was pretty crazy just because, you know, like I said, I didn't think that I would probably be able to go. It just wasn't seeming like it was going to happen. So that was another kind of miracle that I saw in my life, that I was able to do that.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, well, you remember you telling me about it, and I'm like, well, dude, you got a house here. You've got all this. Like, how's this going to work? Like, you can't just leave for 2 years.
Yeah, I kind of just moved on with life, you know? Like, I got a house, and I was just going to college, and it just kind of was like, this probably isn't going to happen. And
good thing for Nick, man.
Yeah.
Good old Nicholas taking care of the house.
That's right, holding down the fort.
So, yeah, dude, so mission, come back. How do you meet Rebecca?
Yeah, so that's my wife.
Yeah, Rebecca's his wife.
Rebecca, she's from Mexico. And so we actually, and again, I guess, you know, kind of doing her a disservice, I didn't really bring this up, but that's probably the biggest miracle, you know, that it all worked out that way, that I had to wait and go, and then ended up being where I met my wife. But anyway, so I had met her. We both went to that mission, the same mission, the Washington, D.C. mission. She was Spanish speaking. I was English, but we both went to the MTC at the exact same time. She was there a little longer than I was, but we both flew out in the same group to Washington, D.C. And it's kind of funny because she's a little older than me, a couple years older than me, and she was like 24 at the time, which for those of you that aren't members of our church, at that time, women could go and serve when they were 19, or no, 21. 21 at the time.
Before they changed
now
it.
it's 19. I'm getting it mixed up, but 21. They could go at 21. We could go at 19. But she was, a little older too. So I went, and I was 22, 3 years. She went 3 years after she could have gone at 24. Like we both went 3 years later than most people go. And, she had just, for whatever reason, not really wanted to go. And her younger sister ended up going before her. And that kind of inspired her, I guess, to want to go. And so she was the only one in her family that ended up going outside of Mexico. She came to Washington, D.C. So anyway, we met in the MTC, and kind of the story of how we met's funny. So we flew out together, went to the airport, and man, she had so much crap in her luggage, all this junk. And she's this poor little girl from Mexico, and she's pulling up her stuff, and she's like 10 pounds overweight or something. And they were like sticklers about it. They were going to like charge her for a double luggage and everything. And so I was just like, hey, you can throw your stuff in mine. Like, I don't have anything heavy in here. And I got a couple other guys. I'm like, let's throw her crap in our luggage. She can grab it from us at the airport, and we grab our luggage. So that was kind of like our official meeting.
Nice.
Point. And then we end up going there. And it's really funny. I wish I had the picture on me. I'd show you, but so when you arrive in the mission, you take a picture with all of the missionaries that came in that day and like the mission president and his wife. And so we take a picture out in front of the Washington, D.C. temple, and me and her end up standing next to each other, and we have like our arms down to the side. Like if you look at the picture, it looks like we're holding hands in the picture. And so it's kind of funny. But anyway, that was kind of, it. Like we didn't talk at all. She worked in the visitor center most of the time. We didn't have much communication at all. I mean, I just remembered like I came out with her, but never really thought anything else of it. And about maybe 4 years after I got home, the one mission reunion that I've been to, I saw her there, and I think I'd gotten her number maybe or something, but didn't really still think much of it. And then it was like probably another year or so after that, year and a half, she like just messaged me on Facebook. Was just like, hey, what's up? How have you been? And we started talking, and that's kind of how our relationship started. She was staying in Dallas, Texas at the time with a friend. And so we kind of started talking and stuff and struck up a relationship a little bit. And I was like, all right, well, I'll come out and visit you. So I went out and visited her in Dallas, and we kind of became a little more serious, I guess you'd say. And then I was like, well, you should come and, visit me in St. George. And so I flew her out, and she came and visited for like a month, I think, and stayed with my parents. And at this time, I had a house still. And so we kind of got more serious. And then she was like, hey, you should come down to Mexico and meet my family. And so kind of transitioning away from the whole mission thing to our relationship. But so we'd gone down to Mexico. At first, I'm just like, man, I don't know. Like, do I want to go down to Mexico?
Dude, so what was your thought about it, dude? Because we talked the other day, and it's like an ugly American thing for sure, right? But I'm thinking it's like dirt floors, like,
yeah,
like you just picture, like at best, there's like, I don't even know what it's called, like, where there's just like clay houses stuck on clay houses, right? Like,
yeah, it's like, honestly, Mexico gets a bad rap. Everyone thinks of it. Yeah. And I was exactly the same way. I'm just like, oh, that's just like the ghetto. Like these people don't even have running water probably, right. Or like anything, like you just get these like misconceptions about it. But yeah, I kind of had that same thought.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Hollywood.
Like, yeah. I was just like, and it, you just think like, oh, it's just, you're going to get kidnapped. There's so much crime. There's so much this and that. And
drug lords rolling around everywhere.
Yeah. And so, and at the time, like we'd gotten pretty serious. We were dating, but I wasn't like thinking about getting married necessarily. I mean, we had been dating 6 months maybe, since we started talking, I guess. And so she's just like, yeah, you should come down and visit my family and see, them and meet them or whatever. And I remember I was a little bit like, I don't know, do I really want to go? This is kind of weird. Like, we're not, like, we're kind of serious, but I just felt weird about it. And my roommate was just like, dude, nothing else. It's a free trip to Mexico, man. He's like, it's a vacation to Mexico. You don't have to pay to stay. Like, cause so I answered back. Her family was going on like a family vacation around Mexico. And so that's what I felt a little weird about it too. Cause I was like, well, I don't want to go on like your family's vacation. Yeah. Like I haven't even met your family really yet. I mean, I spoke to him on Skype or whatever it was back then, but it's like, I don't know. I don't want to go on a whole vacation for 2 weeks with you guys, but anyway, he's like, dude, you're going to go on a vacation. We were going to go to like the beach and go travel around Mexico and stuff. He's just like, dude, take the free vacation. Right. Nothing else. If it doesn't work out, who cares? And I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong, man. All right. So I chose to go down there. And it was a little ways away. Like it was a few months away that she had invited me. So it wasn't like right away that I went down, but she was like talking about, in a few months, I'm going to go down. So we ended up going down, and we'd gotten more serious at that point, and we'd kind of decided like that we were, wanting to get married. And so we were going to go down there, go on this vacation with her family, and then come back and kind of do like an announcement or whatever, And I was planning on proposing back here or whatever. And so we go down there, we go on the vacation. It was really cool. It was really fun. And, her family was awesome. It didn't end up being as awkward as I thought it would. And we'd kind of told her family that's what we were thinking of doing because, obviously they're down there and they weren't going to be here when we announced it or whatever. And so we'd kind of gotten engaged there and for her family's benefit, sure. Right? And so I went and like, maybe I didn't buy the ring when I was down there at that point. Maybe I went back down and got it. Anyway, we had let them know like that's what was happening, right? So then we were both planning on traveling back. She was going to come to St. George for a little while and probably just like chill, live with my parents for a while until we, figured everything out, got married. So we were flying back together. And she had kind of like a weird feeling about it. She's like, man, like, I don't know, this feels weird. Like, she had been traveling to the United States since our mission a lot. She loved it here and when she served her mission. And she had been traveling back and forth a lot and staying with friends here. And so she was just like, man, I hope they're not going to like get mad at me because I'm traveling back and forth. And I'm just like, why do they care? This is no big deal. Don't worry about it. And so we fly back together on the same plane, and I mean, this is the first time I've been to Mexico on a plane. Like, I'd been on a cruise, I think, in Ensenada or something, step off the boat, the port for a couple days. And so I didn't really know how the immigration system worked of like, if you're, a citizen, you have to go through this line. If you're not, you go through this line. So I'm thinking like, oh, well, I'll be with her. We'll go through the same line, whatever. And so we get there, they split us up in separate lines, and this is in Las Vegas. And we had a shuttle back to St. George, and so I go through immigration, whatever, and I'm just chilling out there waiting, like, for her to come through, and like an hour goes by. Just like, what the heck, man? Like, the lines weren't that long.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, man, I wonder if someone's like, more time goes by. And I think she'd had her phone, and she like texted me and was just like, hey, they're not letting me come in. And I'm like, what? Like, what the heck's going on? And like, she got her phone taken. And so I like go ask the person that's like there. I'm just like, hey, like, I was traveling with a friend. She's, not come through yet. Like, is there any way you can tell me what's going on? They're like, well, you were a family member. I'm like, no. And I'm just like, no, we can't tell you anything. And I'm just like, okay. So like 3 hours goes by. I'm just like chilling there. I have no idea what's going on.
You've missed the shuttle by now?
Yeah, shuttle's gone. Like, call my family. I'm like, I don't know what the heck's going on. Like, she's not coming out. Like, I don't know what to do. They won't let me. No one will tell me anything. And so eventually she couldn't call me, but one of the officials there or whatever, Border Patrol agents, calls me and it's just like, hey, were you traveling with so-and-so? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, all right, well, she's not getting allowed into the country. And I'm like, well, why?
Yeah.
He's just like, I can't tell you that. You'll have to let her tell you that or whatever, but we're sending her back to Mexico. So I'm just like, oh, okay, this sucks. Like,
Wait,
like,
what? Like,
yeah.
is this a joke?
Yeah, it was just like my head was just spinning, man. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, this doesn't make any sense, you know? I'm like, is she a part of the cartel? Do I not know?
What do I
something?
not know about
like,
her?
Is she a drug dealer? What the heck's going on?
Like checking your luggage.
yeah, I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. Like, and so I'm just like, well, shoot, I guess I'll call and get a freaking another shuttle and try and deal with this. So, you know, I end up getting like a shuttle at like 11 o'clock at night or something, getting home at 2, and she gets sent back to Mexico, and I'm like letting her family know. And I'm just like, hey, like, they didn't let your sister in. I have no idea what's going on. They won't let her talk to me, anything. So she, like, you know, finally gets back to Mexico and, like, lets me know. And she's just like, yeah, like, they deported me. I'm just like, okay, like, what does that mean, you know? They're like, yes, they gave me, like, a 5-year ban from entering the country. And I'm like, well, why? And she's just like, oh, because I did some babysitting for some people when I was here, and I didn't have a work visa. And I'm just like, really? Like, that can't be. And so, yeah, turns out they, you know, just started questioning her because she had traveled back so much. You know, they figured she couldn't support herself, even though, you know, her parents had given her money and she worked for her brother and she would travel back and work and stuff. But, you know, she'd had some members from our church, like, offer, like, hey, you know, we can help you have some people, you know, babysit their kids and get some money or whatever. And I think she cleaned some houses for a few people just to make money while she was here to buy stuff, you know, and not really thinking much of it. And anyway, yeah, you know, she was really nervous, obviously, and just, you know, had a hard time dealing with it and ended up telling them. They basically just grilled her until she told them what they wanted to hear, you know, that she had worked, like, and so she ended up telling them, and yeah, they deported her, gave her a 5-year ban. And so now I'm just like, well, I don't know what to do now. Like,
I was going to marry her.
Yeah, like, we're going to get married. Like, and she thought I was going to get in trouble. And so for some reason, she didn't want to tell him that, like, we were engaged, which, and I don't know if that would have changed anything.
Yeah.
But because they asked her, like, who's this guy you're traveling with? And she's like, oh, it's just a friend, you know, of mine. And so, like, they just, send her back. And that was that. And so then I'm just like, well, crap, man, I don't know what to do now. Like, so we try, like, calling some lawyers and seeing, you know, and it's like, we're getting the runaround. No one can tell me exactly what it even is, what you can do about it, if anything. And I remember I was in the singles ward still at that time. My singles ward bishop had just gotten released, and there was a new one, Bishop Bracken. He's awesome, and he was trying to help me out and talk to people and figure it out. And, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, all right, this is ridiculous. Like, this is, like, we're going to get married. Like, there's got to be some way to get a waiver, something, just clear this up, you know.
Yeah.
It'll be a few months. Yeah, like, there's got to be somebody that can get involved. It's not that big of a deal. She wasn't carrying any illegal freaking drugs or doing all the stuff in the movies, you know?
Act like you can't just walk across the border.
Yeah, and that's that's a whole other story that pisses me off. Letting these people come walk across the border. But, you know, someone that's literally flying there with a passport. And she had a visa. It was just a travel visa. She didn't have a work visa. And
so that was the thing, is because she had a travel visa, not a work visa.
Yeah, she just had a travel visa.
And cleaned the house.
Yep. And so because she worked here without a proper visa, she got deported. And so anyway, it was, a whole ordeal. And again, in my mind, I was like, well, you know, this can't be that long before something happens. Let's try and get, you know, a lawyer or whatever.
And you're like, I'm a catch. I don't know if I'm going to be around in 5 years.
Not at all. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find anybody else to marry in 5 years. No. So we had just decided, like, okay, well, you know, so in my mind, I was like, okay, like, so if we get married, then, like, she'll just be able to come here. It'll be good. Like, we're married. I'm a citizen, you know. At that point, they can't not let her in. And so anyway, we'd bounced around to a few different lawyers and stuff, and it was just, they were all telling me different things, this and that. And anyway, we ended up coming upon one that was like, yeah, you know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years it might take to they're throwing out all this stuff. You got to file this and do this and ask for a forgiveness of that. None of it made any sense to me. I had no idea. Okay, sure, whatever. I have no idea what this is. But I'm just like, all right, 1.5 to 2 years, I can do that. So I'm like, let's just get married in Mexico, because we had to be married to start the process. And so I go down to Mexico, fly down there. So I went down and visited her, again, a couple times in between while we were waiting. And this was in July, I think, or end of June when she had gotten deported. And we decided to get married in like end of October. And so I had gone down there to set things up. And we were just like, all right, we'll go get married. So we go get married down there. And we get married in our hometown. And then we go to Mexico City, to the Mexico City Temple, to get married there. And I'm just like, all right, well, I guess like I'll just, travel back and forth. At this time, I'd started working for my older brother at his accounting firm and doing accounting. And so I'm just like, I'll just, travel back and forth, come here to work, travel back down there. Like, it's going to suck, but it'll be 1.5 years. Right?
Like somewhat remote, but you have to be here during tax season.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I'll have to come, and be here during tax season and work. And then I can go down there and figure out a remote thing, And so it wasn't, in my mind, that going to be that big of a deal. But so then we go down there, and the process is just like slow as can be, man. They're just so backed up with everything. It's taken forever to get all the stuff submitted, and we finally get it submitted, and it's just like nothing's happening on it. And I'm just like, oh, geez, man, like, maybe I just have to wait this 5 years. But then, like, even if I wait the 5 years, it's like she still has to apply to get a visa and everything again. So it's not like it's just like, okay, 5 years is up, you can come back, And so anyway, it ended up being, so like I said, for the first little bit, I was just kind of like, all right, I'll go down there for a couple months. I'll come back here for a couple months. And I'm just like, man, this is tough. Like, I just probably need to go down there the most of the time, come back for tax season. So that's kind of what I decided to do. Anyway, it ended up we were down there for like 3 years. So I pretty much lived the better part of 3 years down there in Mexico, in her hometown. And it ended up being really cool. I really liked Mexico. I really enjoy it. It's nothing like, the misconception, at least the part. I've been all over to a lot of different places. It was really cool because I was able to travel there cheaply and go visit, Cancun and Mexico City and all, a bunch of different places. And so it was really cool. It's become kind of like a second home to me down there. And, the people are really, really nice and cool. And it's a developed country, like
they have water.
They have water, and you can't really drink it, but that's about it.
You can flush toilets.
It's good. Yeah, it's clear water. You can go buy it. But anyway, so that's another kind of crazy thing. I ended up hitting a detour and living 3 years in Mexico unexpectedly, and finally we had heard back, and it took forever. And I remember our lawyers just like, man, it really sorry, it shouldn't have taken this long. I don't know why it's taken this long, like, for you guys to get your appointment and everything. But anyway, that was the whole.
That's 3 years. Deal. You guys come back, 2 kids now.
Yep. So we ended up having our son down there. He was born in Mexico.
So what does that do for citizenship for him?
So he's a dual citizen.
Okay.
So he ends up he has Mexican citizenship and U.S. and. Our daughter could too if she wants. She was born here, but we'll probably get her some papers or whatever at some point just to make it easy here for traveling. But so he was born down there in 2019, about a year before we ended up coming back. So he spent about a year down there. And again, this is one of those things where at the time, like, I don't want to say I was pissed about it, but I'm just kind of like, man, like, this is so annoying that, like, I'm having to do this, and it did suck because it's like I'm down there, and the whole time, like, I just feel like I can't move on with life, right? Yeah. Because I don't know, like, I almost wish they would have just been like, all right, you're going to be down there for 5 years. Yeah. Then I could have, like, went down there. And,
5-year plan.
Yeah, like, I'm, like, trying to buy the crappiest car possible down there because I'm not going to have this thing for very long. I don't have to deal with selling it and whatever. So I'm just trying to, like, buy the crappiest car, rent this dinky little place. I'm like, we'll be here, a year and a half. we'll be coming back. But it ended up just, going on. I just feel like I couldn't move on with life and with my career or anything. And so anyway, I was a little sour about it at some spots. I ended up really, like I said, I liked Mexico a lot, but it was more of just not knowing, like, if it was like you have to live in Mexico, I probably would have felt better about it, like just being there permanently. But anyway, it ended up being a real blessing, actually, because I really got to know her family well and live there in the same city as them and develop a real strong relationship with them, and especially with her dad. And so fast forward, like 2020 hits, all this COVID stuff's going on, and we were going to go down there and visit them. We had just gotten back, I should say. So we had just, another kind of blessing, but we had finally got an appointment at the consulate, gotten all that stuff pushed through, and we got back like the end of November 2019, like right before all this crazy COVID crap happened.
3 months later.
So it's like, literally, had it not happened then, like they shut down the embassies, everything. It literally, the 5 years would have just gone by and it would have been all for nothing. So that was a really good blessing that we got here right before then. But we were going to go back and visit them that summer of 2020. And her dad ended up getting COVID, got really sick. It just, he got a bad case, had him really bad, and he ended up passing away pretty fast. And so looking back now, I was just like, man, like it was a real blessing that we were able to spend that much time with him. He was able to see our son and meet him, and that's his first grandchild, like Rebecca's the oldest. And so it was a real, he loved having that grandchild and getting, we got to spend that time with them and get to know him. So I definitely, now I look back on it a lot fonder and, wouldn't trade it for sure for being here. So,
yeah. Well, those are the big stories I was wanting to get across, but I was thinking too, and maybe we just have you on again. I don't know, but
I thought we could talk about.
I thought we could so Blake does all my taxes, does all my business taxes. Anyone that talks to me about taxes, I just send them Blake's number.
I appreciate that, man.
I was going to say, sometimes I don't know if that annoys you or not.
Not at all, man. I appreciate it. You're always looking out for me, dude.
But I kind of thought maybe we could just go over some, and I don't have anything prepared, but just kind of go over some basic tax things. And like for me, dude, when I was just working post office or just working Checker Auto Parts and you're just getting W-2s in the mail, like, is that something, I guess that's kind of what we go over. Like, is that where someone should be calling you, or is it where I'm so complicated with everything I have now, I don't even know where to start doing my own?
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly kind of more at that point, it's kind of just like a preference, right? Like I would say, if you just have a W-2 and that's it, like, especially if you're just single, you're not, doing a lot, like you don't have a, HSA or a, IRA doing crazy stuff. And even those aren't that difficult. But, if you just have a W-2, you can probably just file your own taxes. It's not that hard. But for a lot of people, they're just like, well, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to hassle it, so they'll come to people like us and have us do it. So we do a handful of those. Like those are just called like personal returns, right? Your personal tax return. And so we have a handful of people that we do just that for if they have a W-2. And I mean, there's some good things. Like we may see some stuff that could benefit you that you wouldn't know by just doing it on TurboTax or whatever. But if it's literally just like a base, I have a W-2, I would say just do it on your own. It's going to save you some money, and it's not that difficult, especially nowadays. There's a lot of different online things that you could use to do it.
No, I think the step past that, and I've preached it on this thing, is I think everybody should own an LLC at minimum. And I don't know how much we can even say, and you might know better than I do. I don't know, but maybe if we can go through just some benefits to having an LLC, if we can. I mean, if not, we can just cut this. So don't be worried about that. But
no, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I agree. Like having an LLC, it provides a lot of benefits, not just for taxes, but for like, legal things, which I'm not a lawyer,
sure,
but I know that, an LLC it's good for legal protection. And, if you have an LLC, it's an entity that then you can turn into, a business, and you can have either like a sole proprietorship, a single member LLC, and that gets filed on your personal tax returns, but then it causes you to do what's called like a Schedule C business. So you're kind of operating a business within your personal tax return. So it gets a little more complicated. Again, if it's just a couple numbers here or there, most people can probably do it, but that's when a lot of these places start to charge you for, these free services that are out there. They start to charge you for every little page and schedule and number. Even if you got like 3 numbers on there, they're charging you for it, and it starts to be more than it would cost if you went to someone like us to do it. But yeah, so I definitely think, especially if you plan on doing anything outside of just your own W-2 job, like say if you work for an employer, if you ever want to do any type of side hustle or anything, like it's worth just having an LLC. It doesn't cost that much to start up, maintain. You've made a million of them, it doesn't take that long, especially in Utah. I remember you were telling me about when you were looking at buying a place in Florida, how crazy it was to get one there. And I'm just like, dang, that's crazy. Because, it's not that hard here in Utah.
Yeah, because we did California, too. It's the same thing. It was a whole process.
Whole crazy process. But anyway, they're good to have. And it opens you up with a lot of flexibility. If you start an entity and then you kind of start wanting to do a side hustle or a business, it's like you have that entity there that you can run everything through. And there's, a lot of different tax benefits and stuff that you can get by having that business and turning it into an S corp and making it a pass-through entity and, avoiding some taxes there. But there's a bunch of minutia and stuff you can get into with that. But yeah, just at a base level, if you have any aspirations to do anything besides just work somewhere with W-2, and if you're if you're self-employed, 100%, definitely 100% you should have an LLC and an entity and a business going. Like it opens up your possibilities of saving money and doing business and legal protection as well. So
let me ask you this, and again, we can cut this if there's a no answer. What about if someone's like trying to structure all that stuff now? Is that something that you guys can help out with? And the only reason I ask that is because when I came to you, that's what we did. We basically restructured my whole because I just have a bunch of random LLCs. Yeah,
exactly. So we can, it depends on the levels. Like, if you're like a big, corporation or something that wants to have like all these official different setups and stuff, like then you're probably going to want to go to like a lawyer and have them work stuff out and file it and, do it. But for just your basic structure of having an LLC and converting that into an S corp or a partnership or whatever, like we can definitely help people. And that's most of the people we deal with, that's their situation. Like they start up a business, right, by themselves. They just have a single member LLC. They're out there, doing landscaping.
I was going to say yard work.
Yeah, yard work, whatever. And they just kind of run this business. And so what you can do is you can elect to have your business taxed as an S corp. So you're still an LLC, but for taxes, you're an S corp. And so then you have to file an S corp return. And there's a bunch of different advantages tax-wise to having that. And you can, you pay yourself a wage and all this different stuff. But so that's mainly what we do with most people, because it's just for the majority of small business owners, that's the best method that's going to save them the most money on taxes, and it ends up providing that for them.
See, I think I can speak for myself for sure, but other people I talk to, it seems like what happens is you just have this little side hustle you don't ever have plans for, and then maybe it grows, and then you quit your 9 to 5 and you're just doing this, and then maybe you bring someone in to help you, and and you're 7-10 years down the road, and you still have this like original LLC that you set up that you've been paying $20 a year to renew. And then you're branching out into other things, and at that point it's like, okay, you need to get serious about this and set it up. And that's kind of where I was when I came to you guys. Yeah. And the advice I tell people is if you can foresee something like this happening, just go set an LLC up now. Like get this structure set up now before it gets out of hand.
Oh yeah, dude, I definitely agree with that. If you just have it there and ready, and like you said, it's not that much to get it and maintain it. It's like $20 a year to renew it. You just have it there, and then that way, if you do get that opportunity to expand or start, going full time doing something, it's there, it's ready to go. You just hit the ground running.
Yeah,
and you can go, and
the structure's set up.
it's definitely smart to do that, I would say.
And the LLC thing, it kills me too because it's like it's the unknown, so people are super intimidated by it.
Oh yeah.
And
they think it's really just technical and all this legal, and I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to wrap my head around it. But it's really not that.
Well, and there's steps you can do. Like, you want to go get a lawyer and set one up, knock yourself out a few $100, maybe $1,000, depending on how crazy you're getting.
Yeah.
It's like then you have like LegalZoom.com, right? And you can go through and set stuff up on there. And then when you set one up yourself, at least in Utah, like you find out, like I can set up an LLC in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's really not that
and I think
difficult.
it's under $200 because you have to pay for like the name reserve and the couple different things.
I think it's like $70 to $90.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's really not that.
Yeah, and
that
then
bad.
it's like
from the state.
You get your articles, you get your EIN, you go set up a bank account. Like all this stuff seems so intimidating.
Yeah, it does.
And then when you do it, you're like, that was it. Like I'm ready to roll. Like I can start moving money and expenses through these bank accounts now.
Yeah, I think for the average person, it just seems like such a big business type thing, but it's not. It's something that's pretty simple, and it's really, like you said, it's smart to have for all small business owners. Really, they've got to have some sort of entity.
Well, I'd say if you're at different stages, if you're at the I don't know how to do this stage, then message me. If you're at the stage where you've already outgrown it and you don't know what to do now, then hit up Blake.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, man. Well, you got anything else? We're about an hour and a half, so.
Dang, it's been that long.
It goes
already.
fast, huh?
Sheesh.
Every guest, man, it goes fast.
That's crazy.
That's why I had to get a clock, dude. So people that don't know, we're in our studio, and you wouldn't know unless you've been a guest. I have a clock above the guest. As maybe you've noticed in the first maybe 30 episodes that we did, we had some podcasts go like 2.5, 3.5. And I think we had a 4-hour one with Brendan Daly, but correct me if I'm wrong, Mallory, but I think that's what it was. And
yeah, it was like 3 and some.
Yeah, 3+. And so I think it was after Brendan's, I was like, and I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but
it's a lot for people to take in and watch the whole thing, right? Like that's a long episode to pay attention to.
And so I told Mallory, I'm like, dude, we got to get a clock in here somewhere, because like I'll forget to check my phone, or I have nothing timing us. And so now like I've got this little book my mom made me. Has all of our guests in here, all of our talking points, and then I always write down our start time so I can refer it on the clock above us. And dude, for me and you, I knew we'd do that because like we go to lunch and 2.5 hours in, I'm like, dude, I got to get back.
I know, dude. I'm always talking your ear off. So
no, dude, I want to bring you on again, dude. We can go through, and crypto's not a hot subject right now, but we've been able to,
there's a lot of stuff we've done
to move crypto around to where I think it's still, at least for me, it's making money. I think it is for you too.
Yeah.
You just have to be careful and research, and
for sure.
Maybe even bring your brother in, dude, and do both you guys and to go through some tax stuff.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
He knows a lot more about that than me. I work under him, and he's been a CPA for 10, 15 years now and has a lot of experience with this type of stuff. So.
Drop the business name for anyone looking.
Yeah. So the firm we work at is Matheson, Monson, and Nisson. And we are a local firm here in St. George. We're located off of South Bluff Street. So if anybody needs any, small business help, taxes, how to structure, like you're saying, we're definitely there to help out.
How do they reach you? I mean, like, is there what's the easiest way? A website?
We don't even have a website.
You don't
honestly.
need one, huh?
Yeah,
all those people I'm sending you.
People like Derek, hooking it up, dude, sending everybody my way. So it's mostly just word of mouth. But they can give me a call or hit you up and get my information.
If you need this information, let me know. You're on social media.
Yeah, I'm on social media.
Facebook,
stuff like
easiest
that.
way to hit you up is someone message you on Facebook.
Message me up, Blake Nisson on Facebook.
All right, man.
Send me a message.
Well, dude, thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing some stuff. Like I said, I know that. I don't know that you talk about it a whole lot. At least you haven't around me, and I've never really asked about like the car accident. And I mean, we talked a lot about the Mexico stuff.
Yeah,
because we were like a lot closer going through that. But yeah, dude, appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for having me on, man. Sorry I drug my feet so long
I can get that check mark next to your name now. Now Victor Crane, he's the one that's like, when you having Blake on?
Let's go, Vic. You're next. Justin Watts, let's go.
Justin's never going to do it. This is Justin's thing, dude. Anyone that knows us knows it. I run around with Justin more than anybody. I mean, I talk to him every day. And his deal is when I shave my beard, he'll come on
Yeah.
the podcast, but I don't think it'll ever
Not
happen.
gonna happen. That's like your calling card,
I
man.
know.
Can't
I'm like
get
the
rid
big
of
guy with
that.
the beard. That's how people know me.
Exactly.
Okay, dude, we'll wrap it up. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for staying with us. Episode 75. Any tax questions? Maybe you've been in you're struggling through a car accident. Maybe I don't know about how much Mexico stuff you're aware of, but at least you've been through it, Any questions like that, hit us up. You can reach out to Blake on Facebook, any of the podcast, social medias. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anything. And thanks for still being here. We'll see you guys next week. There it is.
Dang, dude.